between the plague of frogs, the atmosphere of 2020 so far, and Donald Trump's efforts to make the presidential election revolve around his racist law and order campaign, and basically he's trying to make a miracle economic recovery, which is so not happening. It's easy to get confused or conflicted about what will actually decide the fate of the fake 45th president. But as Nate Cohn of the New York Times explains, there's ever-increasing evidence that COVID-19 is going to be the deciding factor in this presidential election. Even more than the economy in 2008. In 2008, coronavirus is the dominant issue in American life today. It poses an immediate health risk to Americans, and the effort to contain it has profound consequences for the course of the American economy. It is the rare issue that takes precedence over the economy for voters who have told pollsters that they would rather address the coronavirus, even at a risk of hurting the economy, than reopen the economy at the risk of public health. In this sense, the fight against coronavirus has the potential to define American politics the way an armed conflict might. It poses a threat to the health and safety of the public, and voters support the effort to defeat it, even at a significant economic cost. But for Trump, at least the fight against COVID-19 hasn't provided the sort of Klan rally around the flag lift that national leaders often get during a war. Despite his efforts to personify the virus as a foreign enemy, basically he refers to it as the China flu, the politics of coronavirus nonetheless seem simple. It has become the dominant issue in American life, and voters have reached an overwhelmingly negative view of how the fake president has handled this. Not surprisingly, Trump's standing has suffered. His approval rating has fallen to around 40%, if not lower, among voters that are registered. His position against Biden has deteriorated at a similar pace. As Harry Enton of CNN has pointed out, a poll after poll shows a tight relationship between the presidential vote choice. Approval of the fake president's handling of the coronavirus, and which candidate would do a better job on the issue. The relationship between attitudes about coronavirus and the presidential race is clearer than for any issue in recent memory. It's quite possible to accept that without giving a short shrift to other issues, for the simple reason that Trump's terrible handling of the COVID-19 is not just a healthcare issue, but also an economic issue, a racial justice issue, and even a rule of law issue, as the fake president stumbles around alternating between asserting the near dictatorial authority over national life during the pandemic and sloughing of responsibility on others. There's not much question about the public's negative assessment of Trump's handling of the coronavirus, but it is dragging down all of his other numbers. His average coronavirus approval rating at Real Clear Politics has dropped steadily from 50% in April to 38% now. At the same time, his overall job approval rating slid from 47% on April 1st to about 40% now. The same trajectory is evident in his personal favorability ratings, which was 44% at the beginning of April, and now it's down to 40%, and it's also happening with his handling of the economic approval rating. Long his most positive number. One of the most regular outlets asking about that metric, the ABC Washington Post poll, has Trump's economic approval rating steadily dropping from 58% in January to 50% in March, to 57% in March, to 53% in May, to 49% in July. It's currently sitting at 48%. Even if you don't view Trump's handling of the COVID-19 as his biggest problem now, it's clear his bigger problem. It's clear that his problems are bigger than his opportunities. Gallup regularly asks people to identify the most important issue at any given moment. As of June, COVID-19, the poor leadership and racism mounted together, accounted for 60% of the most important issue preferences right now, compared to 19% for the economy and 3% for Trump's new favorite crime, violence. With COVID-19 infections, hospitalizations, and more gradually deaths again escalating, particularly in those states that took Trump's advice and began easing business restrictions prematurely, he currently has a choice between reversing his attitude of denial and rationalization about the pandemic, or simply hoping conditions improve by November. But just as perceptions of presidential stewardship of the economy tend to get frozen in place a few months before elections, it's likely voters are not going to forget this administration's poor handling of the coronavirus, even if conditions improve in the fall. Unlike yesterday's economic woes, we're up to 143,000 Americans who so far have died from the COVID-19, and it won't be easy to forget that. And there's no way he can credibly blame Joe Biden or Democrats for all this. Above all, As the fake president has already learned, changing the subject won't work for once in his life. He is the prisoner of all his mistakes, and responsibility for them is fast approaching. In 1992, Bill Clinton's presidential campaign tried to maintain focus by telling itself periodically, "It's the economy it's the economy, stupid. For 2020, it's the virus, stupid." So if you like the video, give the video a like and subscribe to my channel. And also hit the notification bell so that when I post a new video, you'll be notified. And I'll see you then.